All right, what is up? I'm out here in the garage on a Sunday. It's a beautiful Sunday. Been having some 100-degree days already down here in southern Arizona. It's feeling great if you're like me and you like the heat. And you better if you live in southern Arizona. Anyway, out here in the garage cleaning up a little bit. I know I said I'm going to post more and I really want to, but I've been posting to my business page more. So that's kind of taking up the time right now, but I'm out here cleaning up, and so I've got some of my climbing gear out. I thought it'd be a good time. When I say some of it, I've got half dozen trucks, and so some of the stuff's kind of in that. A few things are in my office desk, you know how it is. Notch quickies, carabiners, all this kind of stuff. The little things, they end up migrating. Usually what will happen with the carabiners is it'll snap them on my belt loops when I'm packing stuff up towards the end of the day, and then when I get home I just take them off and they get set places. Anyway, I'm gonna flip the camera around and then kind of go over. I thought this would be a good time to go over some of the climbing gear and some things I would not get, and line you out if you're a new climber or somebody looking to get more advanced in your climbing gear. Kind of go over some of the stuff that I've collected over the years and what's good and what's not so great. Okay, so I'll probably start just here at the edge of the garage. And so I have tons of these hand saws, and like I said, this is like, I'm just cleaning out the stuff that has migrated to the floor of my garage. So I've still got tons of stuff on the, like, up on the wall, and yeah, some of that's climbing gear, a bunch of it's rigging gear and whatnot. Anyway, maybe I'll go back over here and talk about some of it, because like I can see my captain's hook is hanging up there and a few other things. Anyway, right now we'll just start down here. So hand saws, there's a bunch of them in scattered throughout the trucks, but so I only have the one of these hanging around, and this will go on my saddle. This is my personal saw. It'll go on my saddle when I'm doing like big removals, because it's got the curved blade and big aggressive teeth, so it just rides back there in case I get into a bind, you know, the pro saw pinch or something like that, break a chain, whatever. So that'll ride on my harness. That's my personal saw. And then these we use all the time for pruning, and so these are rebranded still, but I think it's like ASV. They're made in Japan. Really good, fairly inexpensive. They cut ridiculously well. These straight blade ones are great for pruning, so probably the best hand saw for pruning that you can easily get. And you can find them at like most of your hardware stores or steel dealerships, which is nice, unlike Selkie, which you're gonna be hunting for. And I don't know, we do a lot of pruning, and so we're constantly running through hand saws, and I just can't imagine running Selkie to do that when these are Japanese saws that cut really good. Do not buy Corona. Go get you one of these. Same with the hand pruners. And I see arborists all the time saying that their hand pruners or their Corona secateurs are so good or whatever. These, I wish they made these in a large. These are medium, and they do pinch my hand down here occasionally when I'm cutting real hardwood. I'll get my hand pinched, but good cut quality. They're like $50. You can pick them up at most of your hardware stores that carry Ace, that carry steel, like our local Ace, and most of your steel dealerships. But you want these ones. Look at that, and see, they don't have that goofy thing in the middle. They have this legit spring. Again, I believe these are ASV, made in Japan. Great shears, and we have gobs of them. Stuff that I like to keep on my saddle, and you should always have available: bar wrenches. They make those multi-tools, and I just buy, every time I'm in the store, I buy one of those multi-tools, and I just put them in everything. They're in every glove box of every truck I've got. They're in like the nose of my dump trailers. They're everywhere. So bar wrenches, bar tools, always have one. And this one usually resides on my saddle. I got to come up with a better solution, because occasionally I will pop it out of there and it'll fall to the ground or in the bucket. And then I carry a dump pouch. This one was one of my dad's from one of his jobs. They had a contract to blow the tops out of pines, I think up in Oregon, and to make habitat snags, because they had gone through there and cut all the snags down, and the great horned owls were having a real hard time. So they got that contract to do that, and they would carry the dynamite in these pouches. But I just carry it and throw my phone, my water, all this kind of stuff in there. Those work great. It's time to do something with this. It's so. And then a small wedge that almost always resides on my saddle when I'm doing removals. Knee ascender, if you're going to do SRT, those are handy. My preferred climbing thing, and where I would start at if I was a new climber, I would get a hitch climber setup, and I would pick my favorite climbing knot, Prusik, and friction hitch, and I would I'd run from there, and I'd just learn how to tie it blindfolded, okay? And so for me, it's the Mishwakon, and you also should know how to tie the Blake's hitch. So start from there, but yeah, experiment with different cords. Of course, every time you're around, buy a triple action carabiner. My favorites are the Rock Exotica. I prefer those. I think they're the best on the market. Got all kinds of varieties of those. This is notches thing, it's mostly used for like grunt work, saw lanyard, that type of thing. Those little accessory carabiners are nice. These are retrieval rings that I make up. You just go get these rings and then use small cord. I'm just using some throw line, and so you can tie an anchor bend on there and use those for retrieval rings, because trying to find the right size retrieval cone or ball for whatever you're trying to get back out of the tree, whatever friction saver or whatever, it's tough. I bought those and they were supposed to fit things that I had, and they do not. They just pull right through. So steel carabiners, I've got a handful of those. This guy over here, this style, we'll use for some light duty rigging applications. You gotta know what you're doing if you're gonna use carabiners for that type of deal. This is, and we'll go through some of my saddles as we walk that way. So like I said, I would start with a hitch climber pulley system, but zigzag's a popular option. If I had to do it over again, I would not get the plus with the swivel, because I run a swivel on my saddle, and so yeah, there's that. But this one has started slipping recently. I don't know. It might be the rope. Might be time to. This is why it's off, because it usually resides on a specific rope. I've had this one set just for palm work for some years now. The original rope runner, climbed on this thing forever. It's been rebuilt once, and it's already starting to show some wear. So I've rolled the bollards around. They used to make a thing called a baby bump for this. I always wanted that, but I never got one. Anyway, getting kind of dished out there. This thing's awesome. Love it. And I love purple, so wife bought me this one. This is cool because the pins are captured and retained, and they have the magneto. I wish you could get that in multicolors, but when I bought it, blue was the guy. Not a fan. Don't like blue so much. It was the same with this guy. Oh well. So anyway, if I was going to start out, hitch climber system, and I would get a rope wrench. And I mean, even when you get more advanced, that's going to be the thing that you use most often. And then you can switch back and forth from single rope to moving rope system really quickly. Spikes, if you're still pruning, if you're pruning with spikes, shame on you. But great removal tools, and yes, when I say pruning, non-palm trees, okay? When you're pruning palms is kind of the go-to deal, unless you're running a lift, and the lift is the way to go. But unless the client is specifically wanting to pay the extreme amount of money for you to SRT every palm, then you're going to end up having to run spikes on them. So there it is. That's a old set. Initially when I was like 7, I started out on Kleins, and well, this is not the specific set of Kleins, it is a mirror image. I just sold off my old set, and because we had these sitting around as spares that had never gotten used, so I swapped out to them. And those pads, those are set up for my help right now. Anyway, saw lanyards. These guys, these big recoils, awesome for the big saws. No complaints about those other than girth hitching them to the saw is a little time intensive. This thing, I thought this was a great idea, and it really is, because it's interchangeable between saws and quick buckle. These plastic buckles, they get broken, especially on the part that attaches to the saw. Pretty shitty. And then the length is way too short. I attach my lanyards to the middle of my saddle, this way I can switch between left and right hand use, and I just don't have enough reach. I'm always fighting, and this thing beats up my shoulders, always fighting to get the stretch out there. Yeah, so those things suck. Do not buy those. I have one that I've been thinking about giving away forever, new in the box anyway. So then that brings us to foot ascenders. Petzl, I think that's the Pantene. Crappy. A lot of people love this thing. This thing sucks. I have big feet, and the webbing sucks. It's always in the wrong position. It's always rotating on me, so I upgraded to the CT. This thing's amazing. So much better. Junk. This thing's junk. Sorry, Petzl. Get yourself a pair of hand ascenders. I prefer the double, because why not? And those should reside on your saddle almost at all times when you're pruning. Just great to grab a hold of the rope. Really easy. And get yourself moving. All kinds of uses for that. So yeah, if you're an advanced climber, you would know that having a hand ascender on your saddle is a great idea. Slack tending, device progression. So the simplest method, just make yourself something to clip in there. Of course, I've got that magneto on there, which is super trick. This thing, I wouldn't waste my money on one of the chest harnesses. Those things they're kind of a nightmare. Almost always end up around your neck or some weird position. And that brings me on to saddles. And as you can see, got a handful laid out here. So I've got mine kind of broke down so that you can see my lanyard situation. And we'll talk about work positioning lanyards a little bit. I guess I'll kind of go over what I've got here. So I run on the back, the tail of my lanyard, I run another hitch climber setup, and this just resides behind me. We've got really complicated trees to climb. And so this gives me extra options for getting really good work positioning to make proper cuts, because if you're not in a good position, you're not going to make a proper cut. And I know for some of you hacks, that's okay, that you just run around and sling saws everywhere and which way and make all kinds of funky angled cuts, but that's not the way that a real arborist does business. So you need to be able to get in good position. Then for my primary adjuster, I got the Zillion. This thing is amazing, and I really like having these triple action snaps. Also amazing. This is that Tritech kind of abrasion resistance. I just don't like the color. I like bright colors, especially on my lines, so that you know, it's high vis. You can kind of stands out. This blends in with the tree, whatever. Of course, I don't personally cut my stuff. I know a lot of guys that do. I'm not sure why, but I don't personally cut my stuff anyway. These are amazing, super quick, so much better than a carabiner. It's time to retire this lanyard and well, the cordage anyway. Do another thing. I probably won't go back to the Tritech, although I do love it because it runs smooth. Doesn't hang up on stuff, which is really cool. I mean, this thing's like 6-7 years old, and 6-7. Oh, idiot. Anyway, thing I don't like about it is you can't torch the ends So I was running electrical tape. I don't know, maybe heat shrink or something would be the way to go with that, but there's that guy. So awesome lanyard setup. Xeon, amazing. Triple action snaps, amazing. Super fast. So Monkey Beaver suspenders. I've got the 8-rid Tree Rex 2.0 here, and I like the bigger lower D's on this one, but I don't really like the buckles. I know that was a big complaint on the other one for some people. They didn't like the old buckles, but I liked how you rolled it in to lock it. This one you don't have to do that, so whatever. You need a ring, some sort of ring, or swivel plate on your bridge. You gotta have it. And so this thing, awesome. Transporters, shout out to Tree Stuff. They sent me these guys, 2 of them free of charge. I'll kind of get into why. And that was like 10 or 15 years ago. I don't know, it was a long time ago. Here's the original Tree Rex 1.0. That was a really good saddle. Still serviceable. I just moved on to the new one. Keep that around. And Matt Cornell rope saddle, so that's where those transporters came from. This thing is it's a nice saddle, and I had high hopes for it, but then I get it in and there's like no way to put anything to hang your saw on it, no gear storage. You know, you can, I mean, came with this type of deal and stuff, so they sent me the transporters because of my complaint, and I put them around the rope. Still not good. Anyway, I do like this style of saddle because I like this style of belt closure, but this doesn't this doesn't run down in here. It just goes in here and is terminated here with a little bit of light duty stitching. Not a fan of that, but good well-made saddle for the most part. And then recently I bought this notch. This was for my climbing apprentice. She ended up getting gifted a whole nother climbing set, so she's been rocking that because I couldn't get it. She's very small, runs a size 0, and this is a size 1. This was the smallest that I could get. So anyway, I may end up playing around with that or keeping it around for one of my kids. And then gear storage. Got this notch bag from Tree Stuff for one of their promotional deals, and while I like it, it's very tough to get my saddle in and out. And then like if you're running a Proteus, it doesn't go, you can't get it to store in there. That brings us on to helmets. This is the apprentice. She left her helmet here, so the Petzl, whatever that one was. I had one of my guys wearing one of these initially, and because I bought it to run for myself, but I don't know, didn't like the way it fit. The worst helmet of all time, the Proteus. Cool that you can get like this sunshade and all this kind of stuff. This thing, the adjustment is the biggest issue. You have to, like, I don't know, just always uncomfortable. You have to undo all this plastic snaps and shit. Not a fan. I'll show you what I run in a minute. And then ropes. This Cherry Bomb's my favorite rope, but that thing's like 15 years old. I got a big section of it. If you're serious about climbing, you need to have a couple different lengths, probably 3 different lengths depending on the trees that you work on. But that one's like a 50-footer for small trees. This way you're not dragging around 200-foot of rope. There's a 200-footer. I've got like 120s, another 200-footer. This brings me to rolling long ropes for the birds. Keep them in bags. Bags are the way to go. Tree squeeze, friction saver. These loop runners, you should have all kinds of different sizes of those. Those things are super useful for everything. All right, so the best helmet. The cask helmets. This adjuster back here, let me see if I can do it. This adjuster right here is That's the best, bar none. Super comfortable, super quick to adjust, super quick to get on and off. Yeah. I've got like 6 of them bad boys. And a little cheaper too. It's like 430 bucks for the setup with the comms and everything, versus 500 and something. So, I mean, a little cheaper. And then tons of different ropes and mostly rigging gear up here, but okay, so that turned into a long-winded thing, but hopefully that gives you some tips on some of the climbing gear and maybe saves you some money on buying not such good stuff. Hitch climber pulley setup, that's like pretty much all you need. Hitch climber, pulley, and a rope wrench, and you're set. All the other stuff, the rope runners are awesome and legit, but you don't really need it. You can definitely add it in the future, but most of the time the hitch climber, pulley, and friction cord comes out for me. That's what I run like 90% of the time now. Back in New Mexico when I was climbing over there, it was the original rope runner I ran a ton, as you saw by the wear on it. But anyway, long video, adios for now.